Well, let's talk about some of the good stuff, shall we? I'm Charretton with my 30 favorite matches of 2020 countdown with some honorable mentions, of course. This is going to be part one because there's no way I can mention all 30 matches without getting into some of the details and getting praiseworthy, and I don't want to make the videos too goddamn long. Firstly, you may remember last year I did a top 50 favorite matches countdown, and that was like a three-parter. I didn't want to go too crazy, so I want to trim it down a bit, but there's a lot that I'm going to end up leaving off. So please let me know in the comments what matches you guys would have picked. And it doesn't matter. Let me fucking know. It doesn't matter what promotion. I would love to hear from you guys. And I want to personally thank you guys, just before I get started on this, for getting me through this year. I do have my parents. I do have close friends, and I'm grateful for them. Super grateful. Also super grateful for the producer, who is currently probably out hunting mice and birds, as he is known to do. My cat, in case you don't know, because he's a great goddamn pet like that. But in all honesty, you guys have helped me so goddamn much by liking the videos, commenting on the videos, sharing the videos, and just getting an insane amount of views on the channel. I really do appreciate it, and thank you guys for reaching out to me when you've been going through stuff. It's nice to know, just as a wrestling fan, that my silly little videos and my rants and my insanity can somehow entertain you guys and get you through all this. And here's to a great 2021. And also, you may have noticed with the date here that I am recording this before TLC. It's not that TLC isn't going to be a good pay-per-view. I can't see any of the matches really being worth putting on this list. So anyway, without further ado, honorable mentions. Leaving a lot of things off, I'm sure. Omega versus Paige at Full Gear. The women's and men's War Games at TakeOver War Games. Be weird if they weren't at TakeOver War Games. A lot of the G1 that I won't mention on this list. Zack Sabre Jr. versus Will Ospreay, British Heavyweight Championship at New Beginning in Osaka. Remember when crowds were around? Remember that? That was, goddamn, it seems like so goddamn long ago that crowds were, full crowds, full cheering crowds were allowed at wrestling shows. Thatcher versus Riddle in the Fight Pit. Jeff versus Sammy versus Styles, the IC title ladder match at the Clash of Champions. Fucking insane. Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso at Clash of Champions. Tegan Nox versus Dakota Kai at Street Fight TakeOver Portland. Allison Kay versus Thunder Rosa NWA Women's Championship at NWA Hard Time. So, now, without further ado, number 30, Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Tetsuya Naito G1 Climax 30 Night 2. Probably the best that Tanahashi has looked all year. And in all honesty, and I love Tanahashi, he has horribly regressed because the injuries are finally catching up. Father Time has caught up with the man, and it's very unfortunate. It's sad to see. Now, the spirit is willing, but the body is breaking down, and he's going to have to move to tag teams and stuff like that. It's sad to see the ace like that, but he turned back the clock here, and him and Naito had a great fucking match. One of my favorite matches of the G1. And the fact that it's at number 30 shows just how great, a lot of the other matches were. And don't worry, it's not just going to be a full-on New Japan list, even though there is going to be some New Japan. I'm going to have quite a bit of praise for a lot of matches, and some you may even be surprised by where they are. But this was a fucking great match, and great to see Tanahashi turn back the clock, even if just for one night. Number 29, the Best Friends versus Santana and Ortiz, Dynamite, the Parking Lot Brawl. Yeah! You might be surprised by this because I fucking hated the feud, but you know what? This match can't fault it. The effort that these guys gave, the amount of blood that they shed, and the bumps that they took. Yes, they were insane, and yeah, sure, okay, maybe they were doing it in front of no people. They were doing it for some of the boys, but still, I can't knock the effort. Even if the feud wasn't all that great, this was a great goddamn match, and well worth praising. I'm not even a fan of hardcore matches, and this was really fucking good. Even with Orange Cassidy getting involved and leading to the Best Friends win, it was still really goddamn good. And yeah, Trent's mom flipping everybody off, because why the fuck not? But still, the effort, can't knock the effort at all. We then get to number 28. Tanahashi and Ibushi versus Zack Sabre Jr. and Taichi IWGP Tag Team Championships at New Japan Dominion. And Tanahashi's knees just got fucking destroyed here, which actually is kind of funny how well he did in some of the matches of the G1, because he was just getting his ass beat here. I mean, granted, the G1 was a little bit later in the year because they thought they were going to have the Olympics, and they didn't because the pandemic happened. But this was one of the best matches in, for tag team action in New Japan this year. And to be honest, World Tag League, when it happened, it had some good matches. To me, I feel this is the best one. Now, I almost put the World Tag League Finals, and I love Guerrillas of Destiny, and they get an honorable mention for being really goddamn good in the, in the number of matches they had in World Tag League. But I got to put this up here because it just showed how vicious Zack Sabre Jr. and Taichi could be. It was really fucking good, really great, psychology, and the fact that they just started wrenching on Tanahashi's knees to the point I thought his legs were gonna fucking fall off. It was great shit. I'm glad they didn't fall off. But then I kind of thought that Ibushi might turn heel, but he didn't, but it was still a great goddamn tag match. We then get to number 27, Mustache Mountain versus DIY Worlds Collide. Worlds Collide seems like it took place 5 years ago, which is kind of hilarious. Now, there were a few other matches on there that I could have put on here, but I decided to put this one because as far as tag team action, this is how you do it. Now, cue the Montel Jordan song that will pop into your head, no doubt, like it has mine. This was great, though. DIY reforming just for this brief period in Mustache Mountain. I got to see them live at an indie show about almost 2.5 years ago. Great to meet them, by the way. Trent and Tyler were fucking great. And Toni Storm was also great. Toni Storm deserves an honorable mention for being really goddamn good in her brief return to NXT. But Mustache Mountain, DIY, fucking great team. You watch this match and you will realize, yeah, okay, are there a few too many kickouts? Sure. You can say that about a lot of goddamn matches across all wrestling companies, but this was really good, really great tag action with 4 guys that are great in the goddamn ring. Sure, Ciampa ain't exactly the best outside the ring, you know what I'm fucking talking about, but as far as in-ring action, pure tag team work, this was really fucking good. We get to number 26, Deonna Purrazzo versus Jordynne Grace for the Knockouts Championship at Slammiversary. Now, I ordered Slammiversary, and it was first Impact Wrestling pay-per-view I had ordered in 3 years. And I was happy I did. Even though there is going to be one match from that I'm going to mention on my least favorite matches of the year list, spoiler. But Deonna Purrazzo, after not being used at all, but not being used well at all in NXT, at all, fucking revolting. Her and Jordynne Grace had a great goddamn match here. And it was just really, really great psychology. Deonna focusing on the arm. Jordynne Grace using her power, but it's just great psychology. One of the best women's matches I've seen this year, and it deserves a mention. Even though after that whole wedding shoeing thing that they did that had nothing to do with these 2 women, I will not watch Impact Wrestling again because I'm like, no, I'm not going to fucking do that. It'll be interesting to see, though, where this Impact AEW relationship takes them. Hey, Deonna or Jordan versus Hikaru Shida, I'd be all for that. Abaddon versus Su Yung, wouldn't be that bad, but in all honesty, as far as this match, pretty goddamn good. In fact, even great. It's hard to beat, 2 talented women like this, and they're also so goddamn young. They're only gonna get better as time goes on. So shout to both these women. Number 25, Lance Archer versus Jon Moxley, Texas Deathmatch, U.S. Championship, Wrestle Kingdom 14, Night 1. I mean, it's not gonna be the only Moxley match that I mentioned on this list, but Lance Archer deserves a mention for being somebody who came back from a pretty bad back injury and has had a career resurgence in Japan. And did really, really great shit. And has done great shit in AEW, despite the fact they didn't have crowds back for a while. Now they have a little bit of a crowd, more than WWE has. But this is when the Dome was goddamn full, or at least pretty damn full, all things considered. And yeah, it was fucking great. I mean, it was Moxley against Archer. They were beating the shit out of each other. Sure, there were some spots where I'm like, ow, please don't, ow. Why would you land on chairs like that? But it was still really goddamn good and a great representation of what Moxley can do in front of a non-American audience. And my God, his New Japan work deserves a whole lot of praise. He hasn't been there often, but when he is, he makes it work. But it was really goddamn good and one of the best U.S. Championship matches that New Japan has had in the short history of that title existing. Number 24, Serena Deeb versus Thunder Rosa, NWA Women's Championship Primetime Live from October 27th, 2020. And the funniest thing about this, I actually couldn't fucking believe it, that Serena Deeb beat Thunder Rosa. I was so fucking shocked by that because Thunder Rosa had held the championship since beating Allison Kay at NWA Hard Times. And then the pandemic happened, but she was still defending it here and there at shows. So she was a great champion. I mean, still is. She's my champion. But no, I love Thunder Rosa. And Serena Deeb has really shined since leaving WWE. Well, getting cut by WWE and going to AEW and doing training and wrestling. And in fact, she's 33, 34, and, world of experience. Can definitely help train a lot of the women that maybe need some more work. But she's still young enough to have plenty of years left in wrestling. She's not over the hill or anything, and she keeps herself in great shape, so who knows how long she can wrestle. Thunder Rosa, though, her and Serena kind of great goddamn pace here. It's not the only Thunder Rosa match I'm going to have on this list, but the shocking title change, I definitely did not expect that at all. I was like, holy shit, they actually did something. And it was a great moment, and one of my... it's one of my favorite matches of the year for that reason, but also the fact that these 2 women just fucking tore each other up. And then we get to number 23, Rhea Ripley versus Raquel Gonzalez, Halloween Havoc. Yeah, NXT's Halloween Havoc. Had it not been for this match, I would have absolutely hated this show. Check out my Halloween Havoc review if you want to see what I thought of the full thing. But two strong, powerful women. Raquel has really shined this year and really rose up. Rhea, I fucking love Rhea. I love her from her head to her toes as far as talent, as far as, the complete package. She exudes that star power, and she's insanely talented. Yeah, she's hot as hell. She is. But she's got a different look, a striking look. She, looks like a star. She carries herself like a star. And at 23, 24, sky's the limit for her. Raquel Gonzalez isn't much, is either around the same age or not much older. She's going to rise up. So both these women, strong, talented women that could have a variety of, different opponents, get great matches out of them. This could be really, really goddamn good for both these women. But this match was fucking goddamn great. And I can't wait to see what they do in 2021. And hell, we got a few more weeks of NXT, so who the fuck knows what's going to happen. But these two are really goddamn good. And this was the match that shined on Halloween Havoc. Because it was wrestling. It wasn't fucking bullshit shenanigans. Anyway, we get to number 22, Jon Moxley versus Eddie Kingston, AEW Full Gear. I almost put Darby versus Cody on here, but the post-match shenanigans, I don't want to say took away from it, but I didn't really care that much for it. That being said, though, Moxley and Kingston, sure, I'm not the biggest hardcore wrestling fan, but it made sense here. How they were using, all the weapons and stuff like that, and you can check out, full review of this if you would like. But this was just really, really bloody. It was really good stuff, really hard hitting. In fact, the Mox got Kingston to say, "I quit." It was really fucking good. A great representation of the AEW World Championship being featured properly before they did the whole stupid mic shot, that busted Moxley open. And that's what beat him. All this shit didn't beat him for months and months and months, but a mic shot beat him. But Kingston and Moxley really did great shit here. And then we get to number 21, Daniel Bryan versus AJ Styles, IC title finals, SmackDown in June. I can't fucking believe that they gave this match this much time. At least I wanted to think that, but then I remembered, oh yeah, this is when they were doing full matches to fill out stuff because they were still doing it in the empty PC before they did the Thunderdome. And these two, it was like, 35, 40 minutes? It was really fucking good. And I mean, both guys who have been wrestling for 20-something years, or close to it, the fact that these guys, still could go at this pace, and they were smart, and they took their time, and they did great psychology with the submissions and the strikes and everything. They laid the shit in. It's a great technical wrestling match. See, if WWE would do more stuff like this, and less of the comedy bullshit, then maybe they would get some more ratings. Maybe they would do stuff like that. But Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles fucking tore it up. It was a great, classic match over the Intercontinental Championship, reminding you how the Intercontinental Championship is the workhorse title. And then we get to number 20, Rhea Ripley versus Mercedes Martinez Steel Cage match. It's from NXT in September. And yeah, it was fucking great. Sure, the Robert Stone brand thing I didn't really care all that much for, but Mercedes, another strong, statuesque woman who has a lot more veteran experience than Rhea Ripley has, but she still has plenty of years left, and I can't wait to see her back on NXT TV after she got away from the group that calls themselves Retribution. But Mercedes even being involved, and the Robert Stone brand wasn't all that great. But that being said, her and Rhea fucking tore it up. The weapons, the stiff shots, the fact that they were both, they're both strong, talented women, who don't need no man. Sorry, I had to get that line in there. But they did, they did really, really great shit to each other. And the finish was really, really nice. A great way to cap off the feud and show that Rhea Ripley is really fucking good. And Mercedes should have been signed by WWE a number of years ago. But that being said, she's there now, and this is a great representation of women's wrestling. There's a lot of women's wrestling on here, in case you haven't noticed. Then we get to number 19, more women. Io Shirai versus Rhea Ripley, NXT Women's Championship from just a few weeks ago. I think it was like about a month ago right now. And Io Shirai, one of the best wrestlers in the world. Not just women. One of the best goddamn wrestlers in the world. This was really, really fucking good. Her being able to barely overpower Rhea a few times, but Rhea Ripley doing a whole lot of her shit as well. It was a great clash of size and talent and everything, and I may go watch this again. It's really good. Please fucking check it out if you haven't already. Really, really, really fucking good match. I mean, these two women fucking tore it up. This is the kind of shit that NXT should be doing more. I'm not saying have every match be 30 minutes. Dear God, AEW needs to stop having their matches go on too long as well. That's a problem with both companies and with New Japan, but I digress. Both these women, though, made the most of their time, and they deserve the last 20-some-odd minutes because it was really fucking good. Io having to break Rhea Ripley down, Rhea Ripley doing, all her shit, doing some really, really good stuff to try and basically, just break down Io, overpowering her. But it was some really, really great wrestling. Not just women's wrestling, great wrestling in general. These two, hats off to them, really good shit. And then we get to number 18, Kota Ibushi versus Taichi, G1 Climax 30, Night 17. Uncomfortable is the best way I can describe this match because so many kicks. They treated it like a fucking kickboxing match, and it was fucking uncomfortable. Taichi had a hard time moving. Kota Ibushi could barely walk. If you watch this match, it was just before, obviously, when Kota Ibushi would get to the finals. Goddamn. Excuse me. This was fucking scary. Really, really fucking scary. I remember watching this and thinking, ooh, just the kicks and everything and what they did. And I give them credit. They were like, hey, we're just going to kick the crap out of each other. You okay with that? Sure, why not? And man, they did. This is the best Taichi had looked in a while. I mean, I got a couple other, I've talked about Taichi in other matches, but this is probably the best he looked, like as far as, his matches in the G1, because it showed he could work different styles. And Kota is absolutely insane. At least he didn't, want to have him kick him in his neck. At least there was that, because Kota Ibushi hates his own neck. I don't know why he does. This is uncomfortable, but really, really fucking good, and I gotta give it a shout here. We get to number 17, Io Shirai versus Tegan Nox, NXT Women's Championship from July 15th of 2020. I mean, it was Tegan Nox before her ACL shattered again. I hope that she's okay, though I think she's gonna have to retire. But Io and Tegan, Tegan is really, really good. She really is. I just don't think her body's going to hold up to this. But as far as being able to do shit in the ring, she's compact, but she's really able to do a lot of great shit. And Io Shirai is also very good as well. I mean, come on. One of the best wrestlers in the goddamn world, as I just mentioned. And these two women did some really, really great shit. Of course, Io would eventually win because Tegan Nox should not have beaten Io shortly after Io had pinned Rhea Ripley instead of Charlotte fucking Flair when Charlotte was the women's champion. Remember? That was bullshit. But this was a really great representation of what the women's division can do. And if only they would feature them better and not feature Candice LeRae cutting promos. Though I hope that Candice LeRae does recover from her injury at War Games. We then get to number 16, Yuji Nagata versus Minoru Suzuki, New Japan Cup Night 2. It's two guys in their 50s or early 50s being able to kick the crap out of each other and do great suplexes and chops and strikes. And I would not mess with either of these guys, even if they told me I could, because I want to live. I want to live. I don't want these guys to kill me. And this would actually be, a great match to just show a non-wrestling fan and say, hey, these are two veterans. Check this shit out. And you could show this to a non-New Japan fan, and they would become a New Japan fan. I don't know how anybody couldn't. It was great goddamn shit. And the fact that Nagata beat Suzuki was really, really shocking. I did not expect that. I actually expected, that Suzuki would win and go deeper into the cup. But no, Nagata did. And I'm like, holy fucking shit. They pulled off something shocking here. Suzuki would do all right for himself, win the Never Openweight Championship for a few months from Shingo Takagi a little bit later. But the fact that Nagata got a win and then I believe got to face Okada in the New Japan Cup, again, a lot of wrestling, long year. This was really, really goddamn good. And I'm going to leave that off right there because I got 15 more matches here. And I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Retland. I'll see you soon.